Hi, and welcome to the screencast. My name is Daniel Pataki, and I'll be showing you how to manage your media more effectively with WordPress. We're going to use three things, the first of which is normal WordPress functions and options. The second of which is basically common sense and some best practices. The third one is a plugin which I created especially for Smashing Magazine readers, which will allow us to add data to images. First of all, let's jump in and take a look at the problem we're trying to solve. I think it's best shown if I actually show an example of it. So let's take a look. If you've been around WordPress for a while, you know that it really does a good job of showing your posts, organizing your categories automatically, your tags, your blog roll. It generates pages for you, and it makes media upload really easy, and then you can show your media at different resolutions. It's really easy. So where it falls a bit short is adding data to your images. And the other part is actually that the images are not separated well enough from posts. The way it works right now is you upload an image, attach it to a post, and then it's attached to that post and basically forever. What would be better if attachments were separate entities, and where they are attached to, they can be attached to multiple posts if you want. So let's take a look at what WordPress does by default. Here's a post about the pros and cons of clever double meaning logos. And while I wanted to show some logos, I didn't really want to go into much detail about the actual logos because the post is more about my opinion on using them. So while it would be useful and maybe informative to have descriptions and author links and whatnot here, it ultimately breaks the flow of the article. So what I decided to do was insert a gallery, and the links for the images would actually go to the attachment page, not the file. And what this gives us is a pretty well formatted page, although it's far from perfect, which gives us a title, and it gives us the image and the description. Your theme might not do the same thing, although it's probable that it would do so. Now you can see the problems start piling up here when you see that there's no logo author here and there's no image credit when there actually was one for the article. And the problem is that this metadata in here is attached to the article that the image is attached to and not to the actual image attachment. So that's one thing we're trying to fix. And let's take a look at how we're going to do that. Let's install the plugin first so we can take a look at how it adds custom data to your images. Just go to your plugin, to your add new plugin screen, and type in media custom fields. Alternatively, if you want the zip file, you can go to the WordPress plugin page for media custom fields. Just type media custom fields into the search, or you can type it into Google and you should get to this page with the first or second result. Okay, click install now, and then once it's installed, activate the plugin. When you've done so, you should get a page in the media section which is named media custom fields. Now this will allow you to create custom data types which you can add to your images. Now let's see how we would do this to make this specific page a lot better. I'd like to show two custom data stuff, and one is a really cool feature which I hope people might find useful. One is just the usual author name and link to the image, so basically attributing the image. So we'll create author name, the full name of the author. We'll create a link to the image. And we'll also create something called color palette, which we'll use to show color blocks to people. Color palette, sorry. Right, so now that we've created these, you can see that we have two options, delete and modify. If you want to delete one of these fields, you can do so. You can change the name and the description, and you can delete them. Now deleting gives you the option to either just delete the custom field itself, which will not delete the data that you actually enter for images. It will just take it off the UI basically, so you won't be able to see the form anymore. But this, if you add author names to 500 images, it won't delete that data, so you can get it back. If you click delete stored data, it will actually delete all the data that you've added to that custom field. Right, now, so once we've added these, anywhere where you see an edit image dialog, you'll see these fields pop up. So for example, in your library, if you scroll down to that image again and take a look, you'll be able to see the fields just underneath the fields which are normally there as well. But by default, WordPress only has title, alt text, the caption, and description, which is really not enough for creating a proper system. You could add all these links and whatnot in the description, but that makes it really hard and unwieldy, especially since if you have custom fields like author name and image URL, and even color palette, you can, for example, if you do it correctly, list images by color or only show logos which have a specific color or are by a specific author, and this makes it really easy to do so. So let's fill this out. I found this logo on Logo Pond, so I'll fill this in as just a source page. And I'll quickly find the author as well, which is Lex Logo 4513. On the color palette, I sampled 3 colors from this image. I sampled the darker yellow from the corners, and the lighter yellow from the center, and then the black color. And I chose to input this as hex colors, comma separated hex colors. You can come up with your own system, but this will be fine for now. Okay, the data was saved, and now it's time to actually show this on the front end. The first thing you'll want to do is open a code editor, and here we go, and go to your themes files. Now, as I said, this page is currently being shown by single.php because my theme does not have an attachment.php. This is not a huge deal, but quite a few themes actually use it to show attachments. It is a dedicated attachment.php is a dedicated file for showing attachments, and if WordPress doesn't find it, it falls back on single.php. So the first thing we're going to do is create a copy of single.php and rename it attachment.php. At this point, our page is shown by this file, but it has the same code. Since we want basically this format anyway, duplicating it is fine. We'll only need to change a few things. Okay, so let's open up the file and take a look. We need to change the meta stuff, so we'll go down and find this section, which contains all the post meta over here. I'd like to change logo author to, actually it is logo author. I'd like to change this field to actually show the logo author, and I'd like to change this field to be a color palette, which will show color blocks to the user. So let's take a look and over here. First, what I'll do is I'll get all the properties and stuff that we've added over here and pull them all together. You might want to do this inline, but for the sake of clarity, I thought I'd just pull them out all together. So let's break down this code for a second. The very first line here, author name, gets the author name from the database, and it does so by using the get post meta function, which is a very standard function used to get post meta stuff. It takes 3 arguments, the first of which is the ID of the attachment in question, which will be our image, and the second one is a string, which is the name of the custom field. Now this name is shown in the media custom fields page right next to the name that you gave. It's derived from the name that you gave, but it needs to be a bit more fancy just to make sure that it doesn't collide with other plugins and whatnot. So you need to copy this bit without the parentheses. Right. So we pulled the author name and URL palette in the same way, and we'll get to this line soon. First of all, we like to rename this logo author. And we'd like to make this a link which has the Logo Pond page as its target, and it has the author name as its anchor text. So we'll simply copy paste it in here, and we have author URL, which, sorry, it's incorrect naming, image URL, and author name. So what this should do is it should now show us a link underneath logo author. Yay, that works fine, and it should go to the logo pond page. Now here I want to show a block of colors. I'm going to achieve this by creating an empty link which will be styled so that it shows a color block, and the link will actually go to a page on the Color Lovers website. The first step in this is to get our colors. Now this will be a string of comma-separated values, which you can see right here. Here we go. So these are the three colors. The second thing we'll want to do is to separate this so that into an array, so we can use these colors, so we can loop through these colors. We can do this using the explode function, which will take the comma and basically will split up all the values based on where this comma is. So the first value in the colors array will be the first color, the second will be second, etc. So now that we have that, we just need to loop through the colors and create our links. We will do this right here. I've renamed this to color palette, but regretfully I did misspell color palette earlier, so this is the correct meta value, or meta key, sorry. There we go, and as you can see I've created a link with the specific class. The only thing that changes is the background, which should always be the background of the current color. And it should link to colorlovers.com/color/ the color name, or rather the hex value. Now if we refresh the page, we should get nice color blocks. There we go. Right, so now if you click this color, for example, you would go to the correct page on Color Lovers, and you can see how many people like this color and viewed it and whatnot. You can start discussions. This is particularly helpful if you're looking for a synergy of colors, because you can go to this color and then find people who've used this in their palettes. Okay, so now we basically have what we want. We could add a lot more, but I think I should mention just one more thing. Right here in the logo author, you can see that I added two separate custom fields, one with the author name and the other the author URL. I could well have created only one, which would be named author link, and this would contain a link which would look like this. So basically a properly formatted link. Now the reason that I didn't do this was that this would mean that my data, not all the separate bits of data I have are in separate places, because this link would contain a link and also a name, the name of the author. If I put this in separate boxes, this will allow me to actually order my images by author name and by image URL, and even by colors in the color palette. So it's definitely a useful thing. If you have bits of data, always put them in separate places, because you never know when you might need to use them. Okay, so I think that concludes our little session. The only thing I would still mention is to always add proper alt tags, and the more text you actually add here, which is unique to this page, the better off you'll be, because it will be more useful to your readers, and it will also make you rank a bit higher in search engines because you have more unique content. This is a great way to add some subtle content to your website, which maybe only will be viewed by your more hardcore viewers, but it's still more text and more valuable information and juice for your SEO. Okay, thanks for listening. If you have any questions about either the article or the plugin, feel free to contact me at any time. Thanks again, and bye.